Okay, Nadim, what's your background, Nadim?
Hello.
What do you got? Nadim, is that a girl's name?
Hello.
Yes, hello.
Hey. We already spoke before.
What is it?
We've already spoken before. I just wanted to come here and say thank you for helping. I mean, the Lord work through you, but thank you for giving me some guidance. I spoke to you last August.
Remind me of our conversations. It's been a while because even Nadim, Nadim can be a guy's name, but it's usually yeah.
Yeah. So last year, August, we talked. I left Islam, and then I was going to a Protestant church at the time, and then I talked to RCIA, and then we talked about it for a bit, and then.
So you're nice, RCIA or OCIA, they call it now.
Oh, I didn't know that. They just called RCIA at my parish.
Yeah, good. Hey, man. Now they're telling me, I know it's RCIA, but someone said no, but we're calling you OCIA. Okay, man. Tomato. How can I help you, my brother?
Yeah. So I've been trying to talk to one of my acquaintances who's still a Muslim. He's a Salafi Muslim, and we basically have had these like conversations.
Okay.
And I'm trying to explain. I don't want to say explain because a Muslim trying to understand the Trinity has to basically undo a lot of the brainwashing they've already received. But I've been trying to show. He basically says that the Trinity is a polytheistic concept, and I'm trying to show that even in his Quran, there's issues with the Tawheed principle. That and I use your argument basically, the idea that the Quran is one of the attributes of Allah. It's an uncreated attribute of Allah. It can't be separated from Allah. Yes. But he keeps on using the argument that, it appeared as a man, but it was just basically by the will of Allah, that Allah made it appear as a man.
That doesn't refute the fact that the Quran, Allah is now causing the Quran to appear as a living, conscious being that is distinct from Allah and can interact with Allah and speak with Allah. But I thought that's the speech of Allah. So is Allah speaking to himself? That doesn't solve the dilemma.
Right. The thing you're saying is that the speaking to himself is not an accurate translation of the hadith. The actual translation.
Speak to himself. That's the inference. No. That's the inference when it says the Quran comes to the man and says, "Do you recognize me? I am the Quran that kept you up at night."
Awake at night, yes.
Yeah. So he can try to allegorize all he wants. Say, "You're making my case." It says what it says, and you understand this is now going to cause problems for you because it says it appears as a pale man and will speak as a man and even say to the person, "You recognize me?" And the person is going to say, "No, I don't." And you're going to allegorize that. So the man coming out of the grave is an allegory. The man then speaking is an allegory. And then it says the Quran will then intercede for him. Intercede with who?
Right, with Allah. But it is part of Allah, exactly. That's the issue.
Yeah, he's not going to get around that. He can't. He's going to say, well, no, it means your recitation of the Quran. Say, well, couldn't Muhammad have said that? That your recitation of the Quran will be rewarded with paradise. No, it will go before you. And then the other hadith where it says, surahs will appear as flocks of birds.
Yeah.
No, you ordered him. He can't respond to that.
Okay, so basically everything he's going to say is basically ad hominem and absolute BS. Okay.
You know, he when he has to tell you it's not literal, see exactly. You have to now explain it away.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. But then we're still left with the fact that the Quran is uncreated, and it's not separate from Allah, but at the same time it's not at the end of Allah. Then what he's going to have to explain to you is certain aspects of the Quran. It's the Quran, whoever the speaker is, addressing Allah, like Surah Fatiha, chapter 1, right? That chapter right there is addressing Allah. It's a prayer to Allah. So if it's part of Allah's speech and it's uncreated, who is actually uttering those words as a prayer and worship to Allah? Let me walk you through what I mean. So go back and rewatch this session. Let me explain what I mean. And guys, hope you're listening because this is one of the ways you get. So hold on, buddy. Surah Al-Fatiha. Hold on, sorry. I don't know why I do that. Chapter 1, it's 7 verses, right? Okay, so this is uncreated. This is uncreated according to Sunni Islam. He's a Salafi, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So he's not going to sell you for a fee, right?
I hope not.
I hope not. Okay, so now watch here. This has always existed, this prayer. This prayer has always existed because it's uncreated. It's a part of Allah's speech. And it begins like this. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Now, he's going to explain to me who's speaking. He's going to have to say it's Allah. Praise be to Allah. Even though the word's God in English, it's Allah. So who's saying praise be to Allah? The
Right, his own words, yeah.
Most gracious, most merciful. Master, who's saying this? Thee do we worship, and thine aid we seek. Who's saying we worship you? We worship you, and we seek your strength. He can't tell you it's creatures, because then that means this is not the speech of Allah, it's a speech of creatures.
Right.
But if it's a speech of creatures, then that means the Quran is not entirely Allah's speech. Right?
Right. It's quoting creatures, I guess, then, right?
But then these are the words of creatures, right?
Yeah, they wouldn't be the words of God himself. No, they wouldn't praise himself.
The Quran is not completely the words of God.
Right.
But then he can't say that, can he?
No, he would have to, Muslim shuffle it.
Because 5 times a day, Surah Fatiha is recited 17 times a day. There is no prayer that will be accepted if it doesn't begin with Surah Fatiha.
Right, yep.
So show us the straight way. So who's saying show us the straight way? He's got one of 2 choices, right?
Right. He only has either a creature or God himself, which is...
If it's a creature, then it's not entirely Allah's speech. In point of fact, the Muslim sources, the authentic Sunni sources say, one of the reasons why Abdullah ibn Masud did not include this in the Quran. And Abdullah ibn Masud's Quran, he only had 111 chapters. He did not include Surah Al-Fatiha and the last 2 surahs as part of the Quran. He goes, no, these are prayers. They're dua. You pray. They're not surahs of the Quran. Do you know that?
I didn't know that.
That's in the Muslim Sunni sources, and we've documented it. Now, point is, if you now go with the ijma, the consensus, and disagree with Abdullah bin Masud, these are the words of Allah. So Allah is saying, thee do we worship, and thine aid we seek. Show us the straight way, the way of those on whom thou hast bestowed thy grace, those whose portion is not wrath, and who go not astray. So Allah has been saying this prayer to himself from before creation. That means Allah is praising himself, worshiping himself, and asking himself to guide him on the straight way, and asking himself to be merciful to him and not bestow his wrath on him.
Yeah.
Right?
And that automatically just shows an internal plurality in some sense or some way, which is pseudo-Trinitarian at least.
But if you say it's parts of a creature, you got problems. I'll explain to you now how it goes deeper in the rabbit hole. Right. If these are the words of a creature, then that means the Quran is not entirely the speech of Allah. That's number 1. Number 2, if these words anticipate creatures, that means Allah is not free to create. Now I'm explaining to you the conundrum. You ready? I need you guys to listen. If you get this argument down, they're going to be in a conundrum. Now, that's why the Shia deny the Quran is uncreated. So if these are uncreated words, anticipating creatures to pray them, that means Allah was not free not to create. Because in his uncreated, beginningless speech, you have prayers of creatures, which means Allah was not free not to create creation, because he had to create creation in order to make these words actualized. To actualize them. That means Allah needs creatures.
Okay.
You understand?
Yes.
That means this God is not self-sufficient, independent, because this God needs creatures. So if they're going to tell you, no, Allah is anticipating creatures praying this prayer. Okay, now we got a problem. Say, okay, hold on. But the prayer is uncreated, right? Yes. That means for Allah's speech to be actualized, to become a reality, he needed to create these creatures to pray this prayer, but that means he also needed to create those who would earn his wrath and go astray.
Right. So Calvinism.
So the Muslim God needs creatures, and he needs to make sure these creatures will earn his wrath and go astray. So he's not free not to create.
Right. He's constrained by his own words, which is kind of weird. Yeah.
You caught it?
Yeah. And that also brings that other point is that the Salafi Muslims basically believe in a Calvinistic God, which is another issue in of itself, right? That's
So then if you believe in the Calvinistic understanding of predeterminism, which is actually what Sunni Islam teaches, it's like Muhammad was a Calvinist before John Calvin. That means Allah already determined to create people to damn and mislead and those to save. And then we'll hold you responsible.
Yeah. So there is no free will, exactly. It's just
so either way, you're married, right?
Yeah, it's a facade, exactly.
But now it's going to get worse for your Salafi friend. Growth, I'll bring you up, man. Don't worry about it. Just wanted to let you know when you say bring me up, you can't tell me what to do, brother. Be humble. Now watch here. Now remember this part. Now I'm going to shock you. You ready? Now everyone understand the dilemma? The dilemma? All right. Now let me even add the Arabic transliteration. So this part is uncreated. Show us the straight way. This part is uncreated. So whoever's saying it, he wants to be on the straight way, right? Straight path?
Yes.
Dina al-sirat al-mustaqim. So you see the word sirat?
Yep.
Don't worry about the ending words. Those are the vowel markings added later. Al-mustaqim. So the person who's praying saying, show us, guide us on the straight way, the straight path, right?
Yep.
Yes, shut your pile and get lost, man. I want to debate your mother for doing mutu at the Shia, debate Alex Connor. Now watch here, 1156. Now watch, guys, the dilemma. I want everyone to listen to this. Watch, guys, dilemma. I put my trust in God, my Lord and your Lord. There's not a moving creature, but he hath grasp of its forelock. Verily, it is my Lord that is on a straight path. See, Allah is on a straight path. Allah's on the straight path with the Muslims. Sirat mustaqim. Inna Rabbi ala upon Sirat mustaqim. Allah himself, the Lord of Muhammad himself, is on the straight path, proving that Allah is praying this. He's praying to himself, asking himself to keep him on the straight path. See the problem?
Yep.
No, your boy he knew he couldn't get out of here. You get out of it.
And then he keeps on using ad hominem on Christ dying on the cross, and I'm like, this is just ridiculous.
So, but wait, hold on. If you have a problem with Christ dying on the cross, then that means your Quran has been burnt, has been torn to shreds. People have desecrated the Quran. People have urinated on the Quran. So that means Allah's speech in its physical form has been manhandled, burned, destroyed, urinated on. So what does that say about Allah's speech?
Exactly. And then they're gonna use some other thing. Yeah, it's like it's ridiculous how easily it is to see once you just like get rid of the brainwashing. It's kind of crazy. It's very crazy.
Yeah. And if he keeps mocking, then you got to leave it alone. Stop making.
Yeah. At some point, it's not worth going for it if it's not.
Then you ask him, if you ever ask him, if you do, say, so if I say God and His eternal Word and His eternal Spirit, would you have a problem with that? Is that like three uncreated gods? God, His eternal Word, and His eternal Spirit. Does Allah have an eternal spirit? He may say no. Say, really? So Allah acquired a spirit? So your God is acquisition, so that He needs to then add things to His being in order to be complete?
Right, because the Quran does talk about Allah having a spirit. Yeah, it does talk about that.
Yep. So is that spirit created? It'll say it's Jibreel alayhi salam. Say nowhere does it say Jibreel, but I want to know. Is Allah devoid of spirit? Does Allah have an eternal spirit or no?
Right, okay. And then they would say what, yes?
He's got to say yes, because say no, saying, so Allah is spiritless. He has no spirit? Then how does Allah exist? His essence, what is it? Is it physical? Is it composite? What is Allah?
Right. Okay.
He can't say Allah is physical, because physical matter is created. If he says Allah is composite, well, then he's a being consisting of attributes. So then you say, are these attributes independent or dependent on Allah? If he says they're dependent on Allah, then anything dependent on Allah must be created, right?
Right. Yes.
So are you saying these attributes were created? No. So if they're uncreated, are they independent from Allah? No. So they're going to show him he's got a paradox that he can't get out of.
Right. But then how would that translate for example? So I understand that, like, I watched a video on the Trinity like a long time ago, and I understand that it's one being, three personhoods in one being. Now the idea that, like, the Word of God and that the Spirit of God manifest as their own persons is where
manifest. They are eternally.
Right. They are their own person, distinct persons. Right.
Yes.
Right.
Well, that's my point. Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead.
And so in that's, I think, where the disconnect is the largest, where he's like, oh, how could the attributes of God be God? And then that's where I'm having trouble.
So Allah's attributes, are they divine, angelic, or human?
They're divine.
So then you're just saying his attributes are God, because that's what it means to say they're divine.
Oh, okay. So even though they're not personified, they're still okay. I see.
You have human attributes. Is your speech human, angelic, or divine?
Human.
So you have characteristics that are human in nature.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Allah's characteristics, attributes, are they divine, angelic, or human?
Divine.
So his characteristics are God in nature.
Right.
Just that's why John 1:1 says, in the beginning was the Word was with the God, and the Word was God. And if you parse the third line, it means the Word, as to his nature is that of God.
Right. Okay.
So where's the problem?
No, there is no problem. If you look at it from that,
where's the problem?
Yeah.
And I'd say Allah's Spirit. If he says created, say, well, show me where it's created, because Allah breathes out the Spirit from himself. Allah breathes out the Spirit. It's coming out of him. How can something that comes out of Allah be created? Unless you're saying that Allah is a composite being consisting of created parts.
Right. It just seems like the Islamic viewpoint of God is so in a box. It's like they're trapping God into, yeah.
No, it's here. Yeah. It says Allah breathes out, blows out the Spirit. Here, Yusuf Ali. Behold, thy Lord said to the angels, I am about to create man from sounding clay, from mud, mold and shape. When I fashion him in due proportion, breathe into him of my Spirit. Wa nafkh. I have a hard time. Wa nafkhtu. Wa nafkhtu. Wa nafkhtu. Fihi min ruhi. Min ruhi. My Spirit. So the Spirit of Allah came out of him, right?
Yes.
So if he breathed the Spirit out of himself, my Spirit I blew out of myself. That means it was in him, with him, right?
Yeah, it's not creation. It is literally part of them. Yes.
Because if you say it's created, that means Allah consists of created parts.
Right. Exactly. I see. Okay.
So then I'd ask him, since the Spirit is blown out of Allah, it's coming out of Allah, something he blows out of himself. So it's always been in him for him to blow it out of himself, right?
Yes.
Okay, so then ask, what kind of nature does the Spirit possess?
Right, and the only answer that'd be logically consistent would be divine nature, yeah.
So now you just ended up having your own Trinity. You're telling me the Word of Allah is divine in nature, and you're telling me the Spirit of Allah is divine in nature, but the Word is not identical to Allah, the Spirit is not identical to Allah, and the Word is not identical to the Spirit. That sounds like three divine entities, if you ask me.
Right, exactly. And then, so then how would I be able to, I obviously this is different still, how would I be able to like compare the idea of, because we worship Christ as God, as Lord, that the Word can be worshipped because that Word belongs to the divine entity, just as Allah does.
So what do you do when you have God appearing, you ignore him, you go and have coffee with him, and
you
sit
worship
down
him.
and say it again.
You worship him. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Naily, I don't know if you're stupider than Muhammad, because I'm turning the argument against you because you're using arguments in the Trinity. Try not to be so stupid, because I know listening to Black Stone left you stoned. But anyway, you got it?
Yep. Thank you, man. One really dumb question though. This is completely unrelated. So my family, I'm actually from a Ishmaeli family when I was born.
You guys don't believe the Quran is uncreated?
No. In fact, I think we're considered heretics by every other sect, which is
you
kind
are.
of funny.
I debated one of your philosophers.
Khalil, right? It was Khalil.
Yeah, he is an Ismaili philosopher. But what's interesting about you guys, you actually believe the Ismaili position is Allah's attributes are not distinct, and you cannot say Allah's attributes, because if they're attributes, they're either independent, so they'll say then you have at least 99 gods, or if they're dependent, they're created. So Allah consists of created parts. That's an Ismaili argument that they inherited from the Mu'tazilite because of the Gnostic influence on Islam.
Right.
And they believe creation is an emanation of Allah. It emanates from Allah. It proceeds out of Allah, because that's Gnosticism.
Right.
So that's why you guys are considered really extreme.
Yeah, and considering we say the Aga Khan is the
manifestation of Allah, right?
And a descendant of Prophet Muhammad, right? And I don't know if there's any proof to that or not. I've never looked into that.
But the manifestation of Allah as well.
Yeah, he is.
So they believe Allah, because everything is a manifestation of Allah. Creation is a manifestation of Allah. So it's like Gnosticism, and also a dash of Hinduism, and the concept of that. In Hinduism, if you go to the highest level of Hinduism, ask any Hindu scholar.
Yeah, Brahmin, right?
At the highest level of Hinduism, you have what's called because to them, God is not a mind, an infinite intelligent mind. God is a force. A force. At the highest level, there is monotheism in Hinduism at the highest level. What do I mean? They'll tell you, if you go to the highest level of Hindu understanding, there is one God. God is one, but it's a force, a power, an energy. And from that, all things come out. From that one emanates all. So that's why we call them pantheists and panentheists, meaning all is God and God is in all. So that divine force is in everything. And when you realize your divinity, then you can do godlike feats. And these gods of the Hindus, they'll tell you it's all manifestations of that one divine force. So at the highest level, you have the force, and that force is in everything, and everything is that force. But people are asleep and they don't awaken to the force in them. And that's pretty much what people do when they go to traditional martial arts. Let me just elaborate. Traditional martial arts springs out of this worldview, this new age understanding, which is Hinduism. God is a force, not an intelligent mind, a force from which everything emanates, and that force is in everything. It's one with that. And when you do certain breathing exercises and meditation, like in martial arts, you breathe, you meditate, empty yourself, or when you do yoga, these are all physical activities to activate divine sparks, so you can now achieve godlike abilities because that divine force is in you. You know what movie was based on this concept? What movie?
I don't know, honestly.
Star Wars.
The Force be with. I see. Okay.
So this understanding then creeps in to all different religions. You find this idea in Gnosticism, and then Gnosticism trickles its way into Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. There were Christian Gnostic heretics.
Yeah, right.
Luke, the force is with you. The force is strong in this one. So you guys who go to traditional martial arts, you must understand. Yeah, listen, you stupid bastard. We laugh Muhammad's ass off like the Shia laugh your mother's ass off when they do muta order. Don't bark in the comment section. You guys that go to traditional martial arts, when you do what's called breathing exercises and you're trying to tap into the chi or the ki, Japanese call it the ki, the Chinese call chi, you're embracing this worldview that God is an energy of force and it's in you, and you want to tap into that force to be godlike. It's antithetical to Christianity, because when you're breathing and emptying yourself, you're opening yourself to demonic possession. Yep, that's what it is. So Ishmaelism has a taint of Gnosticism in this New Age understanding. God that created, it's an emanation of God, not a creatio ex nihilo, creation from nothing. It emanates out of God. And if it's from God, that means that divine spark is in all of us. That's why Aga Khan can be a manifestation of God.
I see. Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's something to think about. I think, yeah, because my parents are slowly coming to the Lord.
Glory
God
to
willing.
Jesus.
God, yeah, glory to Jesus. Call it God willing. My brothers too. I've shown them your videos and as well as David Woods and stuff, and they're looking at all the things that Muhammad did, and I'm saying, like, this is not a prophet of God. At least, even if he was a prophet of God, like David was a bad person, but God rebuked David for what he
Precisely.
did.
That's our argument.
He wasn't made the image of all mankind to like look up to. He wasn't made that, right?
Our Bible teaches that these prophets, when they sin, God didn't condone, justify their sins, and then legalize their sin. They were rebuked, chastened, disciplined severely. But in Islam, whatever Muhammad does, no matter what immoral deed he does, Allah then makes it Sharia.
Exactly. So it's ridiculous. Yeah. Anyways, thank you so much, Sam, and God bless you. Have a great day.
I pray your whole family comes to Jesus.
Amen. I
Take
pray
care,
too.
bro.
Thank you.